Have you ever awoken in the middle of the night, unable to move or scream, feeling an ominous presence in your room? Imagine your eyes opening to the darkness, but your body remains frozen, held hostage by an unseen force. You're trapped in the realm between sleep and wakefulness, where reality blurs with the surreal. A sense of dread fills the air, and you might even perceive a shadowy figure lurking at the corners of your sight. This frightening phenomenon is known as sleep paralysis. But what exactly causes this terrifying experience? To understand sleep paralysis, we must first dive into the mechanics of sleep itself. You see, sleep isn't a single uniform state. It's a complex cycle with different stages, each characterized by unique brainwave patterns and physiological functions. The most crucial stage in our discussion is rapid eye movement, or REM sleep. This is where most of our dreaming occurs, and it's a hotbed for sleep paralysis. During REM sleep, our brains are almost as active as when we're awake. But here's the catch. To prevent us from acting out our dreams, our bodies enter a state of temporary paralysis, a phenomenon known as REMatonia. Our muscles go slack and we're essentially immobile. This is an utterly normal process and happens to everyone every night. But what happens when this system doesn't work quite right? Well, that's when sleep paralysis can occur. Sometimes, as we're drifting into sleep or just starting to wake up, our brain and body get their signals crossed. We might become mentally aware before our body has fully exited REMatonia. We're awake, but we can't move or speak. That's sleep paralysis. The exact cause of this miscommunication isn't fully understood, but scientists believe it might have to do with the complex chemical and electrical changes occurring in our brains during sleep. For example, during REM sleep, our brains release a neurotransmitter called GABA, which inhibits motor neurons and keeps us paralyzed. If this process is disrupted, it could potentially lead to sleep paralysis. Moreover, sleep paralysis isn't just about being unable to move. It's often accompanied by intense hallucinations and a feeling of an unknown presence. These terrifying experiences are thought to be the brain's attempt to make sense of this unusual state, creating a narrative from fragments of dreams and waking sensations. So essentially, sleep paralysis is a hiccup in the brain's switch between sleep stages, leaving you stuck in a frightening limbo between sleep and wakefulness. Now that we understand the science behind it, what does sleep paralysis actually feel like? Imagine yourself in the cusp of wakefulness and sleep. You open your eyes, aware of your surroundings, but you find that you can't move. You can't speak. It's as if an invisible force has pinned you to your bed. This is the most common symptom of sleep paralysis, the inability to move or speak for a few seconds to a couple of minutes. It can be a frightening experience, akin to being trapped within your own body. But it doesn't stop there. Many people report feeling an intense pressure on their chest, as if someone or something heavy is sitting on them. It's a sensation that can induce panic, making it harder to break free from the paralysis. And then come the hallucinations. They can vary greatly from person to person, but they're often terrifying. Some people report seeing shadowy figures looming over them, hearing strange sounds, or even feeling a sensation of floating or out-of-body experiences. These hallucinations can seem incredibly real, adding an extra layer of fear to the experience. Sleep paralysis isn't just a physical phenomenon, it's an emotional one too. The fear, the confusion, the helplessness, it can all be overwhelming. Some people have described it as the most terrifying experience of their lives, while others have grown used to the phenomenon and can remain calm during an episode. Despite the wide range of experiences, there's one thing that most people with sleep paralysis have in common: a sense of relief when it's over. When the paralysis lifts and they can move again, there's often a rush of adrenaline, a quick check of the room to confirm that there's no shadowy figure, no menacing presence. While sleep paralysis can be terrifying, it's important to remember that it is a common and typically harmless occurrence. Yes, it can be scary, but understanding what's happening can make it less so. Whether you've experienced sleep paralysis yourself or know someone who has, remember, it's not a dream, it's not a nightmare. It's just a peculiar quirk of the sleeping brain. You might be wondering what can trigger such a peculiar and often scary event. Let's delve into the common triggers of sleep paralysis, which can range from lifestyle choices to certain medical conditions. Sleep deprivation is one of the leading causes. When we don't get enough sleep, our bodies aren't able to cycle through the different stages of sleep properly. This can cause our brains to get stuck between sleep and wakefulness, leading to sleep paralysis. An irregular sleep schedule can also trigger sleep paralysis. Our bodies thrive on routine, especially when it comes to sleep. If you're constantly changing when you go to bed or wake up, it can confuse your body's internal clock, making sleep paralysis more likely to occur. Stress is another major trigger. High levels of stress or anxiety can interfere with your sleep, keeping your brain in a state of alertness that can lead to sleep paralysis. Certain medications can also induce sleep paralysis. Some antidepressants, for instance, alter your sleep cycle and can potentially cause sleep paralysis. If you're experiencing sleep paralysis and are on medication, it's worth discussing this with your doctor. It's important to note that these triggers don't guarantee you'll experience sleep paralysis, but they do increase the likelihood. Everyone is different, and what triggers one person may not affect another. A better understanding of these triggers can help manage and potentially prevent episodes of sleep paralysis. So, to wrap things up, we've delved into the fascinating and sometimes unnerving world of sleep paralysis. We've explored the science behind this phenomenon, discovering that it's a result of a disconnect between your brain and body as you transition between stages of sleep. We've heard about the often intense and vivid experiences of those who've been through it, with sensations ranging from pressure on the chest to the feeling of an ominous presence in the room. We've also discussed the common triggers that can lead to sleep paralysis, such as irregular sleep schedules, stress, and certain medications. It's crucial to remember that while these episodes can be frightening, they're generally harmless and can be managed with good sleep hygiene and stress management techniques. While sleep paralysis can be a scary experience, knowledge and understanding can make it less intimidating. Remember, it's a common occurrence and typically not a cause for concern.